That's a good shot, Mr. Jain.
Yes.
So we were discussing earlier about thoroughbred racing.
Yes.
Now this has become an industry ever since, and this industry is something that is booming world over. India, of course, also has so many stud farms. Are they even a profit-making business when it comes to India? Considering the cost of just acquiring a stallion or importing a broodmare when it comes to India is that high, what kind of margins are they working with? What is the kind of industry potential that we see when it comes to breeding in this country?
Stud farms in India is a very highly fragmented business. Like in the corporate world, you have those who are the very, very top, and there's a huge gap to the middle and another huge gap to those who are at the bottom.
Right.
Also, breeding in India tends to be cyclical and is based on how the Indian economy generally does. Because the success of the farms depends upon the buyers who buy their produce.
Absolutely.
And as you know, the horse is something that you have to possess, and people usually use their surplus wealth to invest in thoroughbreds. And if their businesses are not doing well or the economy is not doing well, then the purchase of thoroughbreds goes down, as do the prices, and that affects the profitability of the farms. Also, India has suffered from an overproduce of foals. Last year, I think about 1,900 horses were born, which is way above what the race courses can hold. So there's now a conscious policy for the breeders to cut down on the number of mares that produce horses, and once the demand-supply kind of matches, then that is what the industry has to strive for. And as you rightly said, the cost of stallions, the cost of maintaining a horse is the same whether he's a top horse or an ordinary horse. So the maintenance costs are very high, and unless you can offset it by better pricing, it's always going to be a tough business.
So which are these top 4 stud farms that are doing well in the country?
Top 2 have very clearly been Usha Stud Farm, which is in the north, just off Delhi, and the Poonawalla farms right here in Pune.
Of course, the Royal Western India Turf Club, as one of their latest initiatives, went to Singapore and had a Royal Western India Turf Club trophy in Singapore. We'll talk about that a little later, but while I was there attending that race, I heard about the fact that somebody in the racecourse said Singapore is not far away from launching a horse fund. Like a mutual fund or an art fund, and treating horse like an alternative asset class. How far is India from an idea like that to even toss over?
Unfortunately, years and years away. I think we have to first catch up in improving the quality of the thoroughbred. We have to get our economics in order.
Which we can, because it's a man-made experiment.
Which we can. And we have shining examples right on our doorstep. But a horse fund, it was a dream. I think I will be well past my innings at this club when that comes about. And
also horse racing syndicates. Of course, horse racing is owning a horse. Is something which is done by the rich. It is something that is done by the top-notch corporates. Entrepreneurs are owning horses today. If the youth today, a youngster in the age of mid-20s or mid-30s, wants to go ahead and buy a horse racing syndicate is what he can make and end up acquiring one. Take us through how that entire process takes place and how accessible it is for the youth of today to acquire a horse.
I think syndicates is the way forward to get a taste of the business. As you know, horses being an animal, it is a gamble. You may buy the best horse and pay the best price, but the horse may injure himself and not race at all. The way to minimize your risk is to have a broad partnership, which means syndicate. We initially started with 10 individuals forming part of a syndicate. We've expanded that to 20. So theoretically, you can have 20 individuals who own a horse, get the same pleasure of going into the paddock when the horse is about to run, go and lead in the horse, name the horse, receive the trophy, at 1/20th the risk at both the capital and the maintenance. So it's a great way forward. We find an increasing number of syndicates. We have what is now also ladies-only syndicates. A group of 10 women get together and form a ladies syndicate. We have a royal syndicate where 10 royals have come. Maybe we should start a youth syndicate and encourage the 18s and over to own a horse. So
from classes, we're definitely seeing a paradigm shift going to the masses when it comes to horse racing.
It has to be promoted amongst the masses.
We were talking a little earlier about stud farms in this country, we've seen a local bred champion like in the spotlight doing really well. Which have been other horses that have been doing really well, which have been bred in India, which obviously again puts me to a second point, which is that Indian stud farms do seem to have the expertise to produce a class 1 filly like and in the spotlight.
We have had limited success abroad due to a variety of reasons.
Right.
The quality of the thoroughbred is only slowly evolving, and also the quarantine rules worldwide make it very difficult for the export of Indian horses. The first to really make a mark internationally was a horse called Astonish from the Poonawalla stud farms, who won a class 1 race in Hong Kong. And that opened up the interest for many farms and owners to send their horses abroad. There has been limited success. Adler won a race in the US, Saddle Up won in Singapore. But the problems associated with quarantine, with the procedures, with the approvals are so cumbersome that it has dissuaded many of the top horses from going.
So now we are sending Indian bred champions overseas now to race, but what we are also noticing very conspicuously is the overseas jockeys who are champions, who are coming into India and racing. Why is there not a system in place where we are training our Indian jockeys to come to the level of a Richard Hughes or a David Allen?
We used to have an apprentice jockey school, but that didn't prove too well. We now have reinstituted a mechanism to train young jockeys. I believe today we have as many as 40 apprentices who are now under training. As is known, jockeys have to have certain height and weight criteria, so that limits the number who are eligible to be jockeys. But I agree, I think we should possibly look at a more formal training mechanism, get down top-class international jockeys to train our boys, have more facilities like simulators, show them videos of our leading races worldwide,
and open up a lot of avenues for them to go abroad also and end up racing.
Yes, we do send them, but on a very sporadic basis. So that clearly has to be done, because India does suffer from not having too many jockeys at the top just now.